Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated from the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. Follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X. Follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both on Twitter/X and on Facebook. Today we're going to be looking at men's basketball and football. We'll start with men's basketball and talk about some upcoming matchups for this team. 9 wins in a row for the Bruins. They're playing their best basketball at the right time as they grow into Big Ten play or resume it. They're already 2-0 in conference, but they got 2 big games on their schedule on the next 2 Saturdays, and then they start January 4th against the Nebraska Cornhuskers, resuming that Big Ten action. So just looking at both games, I mean, they're going to start this Saturday at Madison Square Garden in New York City, facing the North Carolina Tar Heels, a historically great program, one of the blue bloods in men's college basketball. And so are the Bruins. So you got 2 teams very similar, but one is having a lot more success than the other this year. UCLA, obviously 10-1. Right now, the Tar Heels are 6-5. And when you look up and down their schedule right now, the Tar Heels have played 4 teams inside the top 10. You got number 1 Kansas early in the year, number 4 Auburn, number 10 Alabama, and they just most recently lost to number 7 Florida. Their best win this season is arguably Dayton or Georgia Tech. And that's no fault to them. They just haven't won the big games that they've had to play against top 10 teams. They do have some scorers, though. North Carolina with 2 guys really leading the way. Senior guard R.J. Davis, 18.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, shooting the ball just above 37% from the field. And then you got junior guard Seth Trimble, averaging 15 per game. He also leads the team in rebounds with 4.9 per game and steals with 1.7 per game as well. So the Tar Heels, I mean, they have good ball players. There's not a bad team. They just have, kind of drawn the bad end of the stick here against a lot of the top teams in the country. They got Michigan State on there as well. That's now a top 20 team in the country. So, I mean, a majority of their losses, actually all of their losses, have come to ranked teams this year. So, I mean, it's a tough schedule in your first 11 games of the season. You're playing all ranked teams. And this game against Florida that they lost came back yesterday on Tuesday, and they won't play again until Saturday, just like UCLA. So both of these teams will get a 3-day break on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we'll get back to it in New York on Saturday afternoon. That game's at 3 p.m. Eastern time, noon Pacific, and it's going to be a week break for the Bruins after they finish this game up. It's a great opportunity for them to continue to surprise people around the country that they're a top 15, top 10 in the nation. And a win over North Carolina, no matter how good or bad UNC is, it's always a feather in the cap of any team that takes them down. Looking over now at the Gonzaga Bulldogs, that is the team that the Bruins will play a week after. So this coming Saturday, it's UNC. The Saturday following on December 28th is going to be against the Bulldogs, and they've lost 3 of their last 5 games. Off to a really hot start. They were 5-0. Currently, right now, they are 7-3. Lost to West Virginia, lost to Kentucky and UConn back-to-back over the last couple of weeks. Kentucky, that game went to overtime. They're a top 10 team. And then UConn, who has kind of fallen back in the rankings, they upset the Bulldogs when Gonzaga was ranked 8th. Now they are ranked 13th in the country. Just those couple of losses faltering them. But the Bulldogs will have a couple of games to kind of prep for UCLA. They're going to play Nichols tonight at 9 p.m., and then they'll play Bucknell this coming Saturday. So a couple of warm-up games for Gonzaga before they play at a neutral site against the Bruins, taking place at the Intuit Dome, home of the Los Angeles Clippers, their new arena, I should say. That game at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific time on Fox. So as you look at it, obviously North Carolina's not having their traditional year, but still a lot of talent on that team, still a huge win to be able to get. And then Gonzaga is your final game before conference play starts again in the final game of the calendar year. If the Bruins can somehow go 12-1 in the year of 2024, moving into Big Ten play to 25, I mean, that is huge. And it shows that they can take down teams that are amongst the top in the country. I think Gonzaga is going to be a little bit harder of a challenge compared to North Carolina. That's just because they got a couple more scorers and a little bit more talent and success. Moving on to football now, just going to update on a few official coaching hires over the last couple of week or so, starting with secondary coach Demetrius Martin having his second stint with the Bruins, was with UCLA back from 2012 to 2017 as a DB's coach, and he's coached a ton of different big-time programs around Division I college football. After UCLA, went to Arizona, Colorado, spent a year at Oregon or 2 years at Oregon, I'm sorry, and then spent last season with Michigan State as the cornerbacks coach. And then he's going to come back to UCLA in 25 and do that same job as the cornerbacks coach. He helped the Bruins win a Pac-12 South Division championship back in 2012. He's very familiar with the program. He was born in Los Angeles, so he's a hometown guy. He's going to be a key piece to this defense because you got a couple of new transfers coming in, a couple of veterans in the secondary as well that are going to play a part. And Demetrius, he's coached for Oregon, had drafted talent there, and Michigan State as well. They kind of struggled this past year, but there's a couple of players on that defense that are hitting the transfer portal and are going to play some big snaps for big-time programs in the future. Final coach we'll speak on is Scott White. He was a defensive analyst this past season, been with the program since 2011, and he has been promoted to associate head coach and inside linebackers coach. So as the defensive analyst, he was working alongside a lot of the linebackers this past year, and head coach Deshaun Foster promotes him up to the lead inside linebacker coach, and then also the associate HC as well behind Foster. So it's cool that White and Demetrius Martin going to get back together. They were with each other from 2012 to 2017, considering White was there from 2011 to 17. And the two are going to reunite and kind of work hand in hand in that secondary with the linebackers that Scott White will coach, and then Demetrius Martin with the cornerbacks. Those are two interlocking positions right there that kind of have to feed off each other to be successful. So a lot of conversations there, and hopefully that's a great fit for the Bruins. I think those are two great coaching hires. They're going to help this team continue to improve and work towards competing for a Big Ten championship. This has been the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh, your UCLA Bruins Insider. Follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow.